Welcome to the 5 for 2 podcast with me, your host Adele, where we say no to careers where you're trading 5 days of misery for 2 days of fun. A place we discuss all things career, confidence, and money moves. I want to motivate, teach, and empower ambitious women to achieve more, earn more, feel more confident, and enjoy the work they do. It's all about believing you can have everything you want in your career and then going and getting it. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome. I am very excited to be recording this episode because I am joined by a fellow career coach who I have actually recorded before on her podcast. And I was super excited about having her here today because I want to talk about dreaming big. And I couldn't have thought of anyone else but this coach to be on this episode. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Jaz, who is a career coach for ambitious people and communities, and she's very focused on goal getting. So if you are trying to hit a goal this year in your career, if you're trying to hit, I like to talk about the money goals, whatever it is, if you are ambitious and that is what you want and you're feeling stuck, this episode is for you. So I'm going to let Jaz introduce herself a little bit more. And yeah, welcome Jaz, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here having this conversation with you. When we talk, it's always a great time, both being fellow career coaches. There's just so much that we are so passionate about, just helping people move through, move over, throw in the bin, like all of those things. So really excited to be here. I'm a coach for ambitious careers and communities. That's always been my MO. I work with the friends and the folks who are a little bit exhausting because they have always got something going on. When you ask them, how are you? How was your weekend? They've learned a new skill. They've up-leveled themselves in some way. They are always on the move. Those are my people that I kind of work with. And that's been, 6 years now? That has been my journey, but I always joke and say I am who I've always been. I was that weird 15-year-old helping adults in my family with their CV. I was the one that got everybody their graduate jobs out of uni. I had even a little unofficial CV and interview prep clinic running out of my dorm room. So I've always been about helping people secure the next thing and secure the bag while they're doing it. So that's me.
Thank you. And also, I love that you shared a little bit about the fact that you've always been this person. Because that's how I feel about myself. Like the person who's always been finessing the CVs for people and like, listen, you can do this and this and this, but not understanding it was coaching, not understanding.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. The fact that you were doing it out of your dorm room, like you were literally doing it out, you was already coaching before you was a coach. Like I love that because a lot of people don't realize that sometimes they're currently doing something now that can feed a bigger dream. Because just because you don't think it's a big deal, guys, Jaz has gone from like running a little unofficial clinic in a dorm room to being 6 years in coaching, 6 years coaching people to achieve big dreams. I feel the same way. Like something I did years and years and years ago, like consistently became my job. And I want people to understand that, like the thing that you don't think is a big deal could be a big deal. Could be the next thing that's going to make you money. Could be the next thing that's going to help communities, could be the next thing that's going to help a lot of people. So I really love that you shared that. And I just want to say, everyone, this episode is called Dream Big, Your Next 90 Days with Jaz Marfo. Reason being, Nee Broughton, because Jaz is married and has the 2 names. Like, I always read that everywhere and I'm like, wait, Jaz has two surnames. What does it mean? Who are you, Jaz?
I was just like, okay, I need to start using my married name because I've made that choice for myself. But I'm very happy and comfortable to accept my husband's last name. But there's a space where it's like, there is so much, especially on the business side. I've been building my own personal brand as Jaz Broughton for so long. So that was the first thing that I did on LinkedIn, folks. So if you're listening to this and you're newly married or about to, you can actually have both showing up on your profiles. Make sure that you don't lose all of that profiling juice, so to speak. I'm sure you can also do that internally at your companies as well, so that people still know that it's you. So yeah.
I love that. And the reason I wanted to call this episode with the 90-day, the emphasis on the 90 days, is because I know your program, you help people get it together in 90 days. So guys, Jaz doesn't play, but 90 days is basically 3 months.
Yeah.
Imagine how much you can change in 3 months. And I think sometimes we think that all our career goals are going to take years and years and years, even more years on top of years. And actually, you can change your whole life in 90 days. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but see it all the time. So I thought that was really fitting. So, Jazz, before we get into me asking you questions, tell us a little
Mm,
bit about what you do and how you got here. Obviously, you've already
yeah.
mentioned you was already doing it for the family. So is there anything else? Is there any other reason that got you here as a coach?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was me discovering what coaching was. I I have always been multi-passionate, and I grew up in a house, sorry, with multi-passionate parents without realizing it. So at the time where there was this big boom around being multi-hyphenate, Emma Gannon's amazing book, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's the norm. Most people in my family have two or more things going on, right? My mum has a background in admin, but she's also a creative. So she's a creator, a designer. My dad has been a carpenter and a DJ my entire life. Before I was born, he was both of those things, always has been, always will be. So that influenced a lot of my career choices and what I envisioned for myself as a career. I always knew at some point I'd be an entrepreneur. I just never knew what until first experience in a startup. So that was in tech. Absolutely loved it. It was the first career that I'd been in where they weren't trying to put me in a box. I'd sit with my manager, and unbeknownst to me, my manager, I loved working with my manager there because they were a coach first. They very much were, what do you need? What's your plan? You give me your 3 steps towards it, and then I'll consult. Let's brainstorm on this, rather than a more instructional relationship that I'd had in my past lives in hospitality and surveying. Very rigid, very structured, very get back into your box. This is how we've done it for centuries. Don't need to change anything, don't need to innovate. Whereas I found myself in a situation where it was like, no, no, no. Part of why we've hired you is we want the ideas, we want the innovation, we want everyone to take a blank sheet of paper and create how they do things. And that was just so amazing for me. And it also then played havoc with what at the time was a sort of history of anxiety and depression. And I was having panic attacks, and had a panic attack coming out of Aldgate East Station in London, for those of you who aren't based in London. And I was on my way into work, and I had been burning the candle at both ends. It was like straight up burnout. You're running on fumes. That's what it was. But ultimately, the panic attacks for me, I'd had them before, but they'd always been the hard stop, like, whoa, body's not going to let you go any further. I'm literally wheezing on the platform. So got into the office. Thankfully, the head of people there understood mental health. So I was able to kind of tell her what happened without having to kind of go through all of it. She was just like, go home, switch off. I still, high achieving me was like, no, but I can still just do emails. I just need to do it from home. She was just like, nah, nah. How long will it take for you to switch off and do the things that will let you switch off, right? So for those of you who know when you should be resting, but you're just like, if I don't do this, this, and this, it will be plaguing my mind while I'm resting, right? So we came to agreement, and she basically said, if I see you online past 2 o'clock, I'm ripping you out the back end. Like, I'm deactivating your Google account, and you won't be able to do anything. So if that's the time, I'm going to give you the time and respect that you know yourself, but also I have a duty of care to you. So it didn't come to that. I got home and just put on it out of office because I was like, ugh, empty. But after a few days off work, came back in. She told folks that I was just unwell, right? Because ultimately, for anybody who experiences any challenges, whether it's mental health, physical health, you are in control of that narrative there. People like, hope you're feeling better. And I was like, yeah, I had a panic attack, live with anxiety, etc. And folks were like, oh my gosh, I never knew. Like, I have panic attacks all the time. I'm on medication for my depression. I this and I that, right? And at this time, we're a small startup. Back in the days before people knew it was a red flag for, you to be quote unquote family. And, if you stay past 7 o'clock, you get to expense dinner, and all of those different dogs in the office, ping pong, all the stereotypes are there, right? And I was just like, nope, it was a panic attack. This is what it is. And at the same time, because I had been quite candid about my experience, they were exploring bringing coaches into the workplace. And I was just like, first of all, sign me up, but second of all, more needs to be done here. So I started having coffee chats with people. So I got it signed off for me to spend 2 hours of every week having coffee chats with people, just talking about their burnout, their mental health experiences, and just being a listening ear who understood. But naturally, I was just like, there's only so much help that I can do by listening. So I managed to do my mental health first aid, and then I found a coaching course. So after having my first 2 sessions, it was inundated. They had to get more hours in from the supplier that was kind of giving the coaching sessions. It rolled out really well, but essentially I stepped up as a mental health first aider, mental health champion at the company, and was just like, I want to learn how to do this properly. And then found a coaching course. So that was my first certification. It was in life coaching, taught me the skills, taught me the ethics. And then the December of that year, about 40 of us got made redundant. But that was the same month that I had submitted my final assessment. So I was certified month in front of me. And again, like I said, I've always known that I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's going to be part of my path, just never knew what it was going to be and when. And in that moment, it was very much, if not now, then when, right? I had, for those of you who've been through the redundancy process, and I've been through it several times now, so I always can chat about that. But ultimately, you get paid, right? Nobody throws you, in the best case scenario, obviously, depending on the financial standing of your company, but they have an obligation to give you that buffer while you look for something new and that financial support. So there was also that space where it was like, I literally am doing all the job hunting that I can do between, I get up at 8, by 11, I've applied for everything. Let's go. And I got back to some of the people who I was coaching while I was training and just said, hey, would you pay me? Started off charging £20 an hour. And that was going to me. I was like, what? You're going to pay me £20? Wicked. We did grow up from there, folks, in terms of the rate and the money mindset. But more than anything, I was doing something that I loved, making a difference, really honing my skill as a coach. And that kind of went from there. Started working with people one-to-one, delivering workshops, doing a lot in the tech space, just because that was the industry that I was in. So even going back to what we were sharing at the beginning, don't feel that if you're going to pivot your career, you have to throw everything away. I took my network along for the journey and said, hey, you know me for this now. Here's what I'm doing over here. Reach out if you're interested. And then, the rest is history. Literally six years to the month. That was when I just said, let's go.
Oh, that is such a good story. And I hope that has inspired so many people listening, because my brain was just going while you were talking, like just of all the points that you've hit, like how you turned like your own adversity into your career. Just your openness as well. Not everyone's that open. Not everyone would have been willing to go into work and let everyone else know what had happened. But I don't think, and anyone listening, I don't think there's a wrong or right way. But what I do think is, don't be embarrassed or ashamed about anything that you're going through. Understand that your mental health, your health, like your physical health is all important. And if if you're struggling or you like need help, speak to people. Don't feel embarrassed by what you're going through. I'll share with who you feel comfortable to share with, but know that if someone like Jaz can let you know that she's gone through that, but yet still shows up online. You see her on Instagram, you see her on LinkedIn, you see her wherever you see her, she shows up, she delivers workshops, she does one-to-one, she supports so many people, so many communities, and can share that with you. I think that's just a really important message to take away. So thank you for sharing that, Jaz. That was really, really important. So what I want to get into with you is, I wanted to ask you, you always are sharing advice for ambitious people, but often I think personally, and the people I've spoken to, and I'm sure you can understand this, the most ambitious people, especially women, I find a lot of women, the most ambitious women end up being the most stuck. Why do you think that happens? Like, why do you think if a woman's super ambitious, why does she end up being the one who's stuck? Maybe the one who's been in the same job 10 years hates it. Maybe the one who's been earning the same money and like only getting the little piddly 2% pay rises, but yet has the most ambition inside of her. Why do you think they end up being, why someone like that would end up being stuck?
It's usually two things. We aren't given the rules or any rules to this game called career advancements, career growth, whatever you want to call it, ambition, or we've been given the wrong ones. We are socialized very, very differently. There have been many times in my career, and similar to you, I've got what I describe as a two-sided career. So I am employed in some aspect and I'm self-employed in the other side. And on the employed stuff, a lot of the times they're just like, where did you learn that? Oh my gosh, you're so confident. Oh my gosh, you're so this. And there's a lot where I realized that the way that I was socialized, be it, heck, I was socialized to grab a mic in church and do the announcements. So presentation skills, public speaking, doddle, it's in the blood, right? Or just me going for what I wanted in many ways. And I'm only realizing this now. My dad raised me and my siblings as though we were stereotypical boys. He told us no dream is too big. He told us go for what you want. If you don't see it there, create it. My family has a mission statement. It still hangs up in my parents' house in the hallway that says we will be world changers. We will help people. think there's 3 other things on there, but literally, you know, and he prayerfully put that together. I come from a Christian background. So it was a really, really big thing for me to see my dreams come true. And I've had many conversations with my dad where he's gone, I've got this idea. Fast forward a month later, he's created it. Like I said, he was an entrepreneur from jump. So there's a lot in terms of how I was socialized that actually was quite unspoken, but was exemplified to me about what it was possible for women to achieve. My aunts, the same. We just go for it. And I think in many senses, a lot of women grow up without those examples, or with those examples that are attached to different identities. He can do that because he's my boy cousin. They can do that because they're this age. They can do that because of this, that. And it just shrinks your ambition smaller and smaller to the point where you think it's the norm for you to be the best kept secret, to sparkle in the corner and hope that somebody will see what you're doing and then give you a promotion. And then be confused when your colleague who you came in side by side is like, yeah, just had my appraisal, I got the promotion. And you're like, what? And they're like, I asked for it. And your mind is blown because you're like, wait, I can do that? And this is what I mean when I say the rules haven't been discussed. So you go in as the quote unquote good girl that you were socialized to be. Just do a really great job. Be there when everyone needs you. Say yes to absolutely everything. And anything that looks like boundaries feels foreign. Anything that looks like putting your hand up to ask for something, or heck, even request it in a very matter-of-fact way, feels foreign. And they feel uncomfortable. So even then, once you're given the rules, so to speak, you shy away from applying them because, again, you don't have that exemplar that it's safe to do so. And I think that's why it's so powerful. You know, when I engage with your content, and there's a few other career coaches that I know where we speak from either our own experience or our clients to go, I asked, the world didn't end, I got it. Like every time you share those testimonials on your stories, Adele, you're breaking someone's brain. Somebody's brain is exploding because they're like, what? You didn't get fired, you didn't get labeled, you didn't get bullied, you didn't get da-da-da. And again, we're going to be real here on this conversation. There are some organizations who will respond that way when you ask for what you want. However, that should be
Absolutely.
the reason that stops you from asking for it. Because otherwise, what we're doing, you're sitting in the kiddie class. I mean, when we think about kids go, they go nursery, they go reception, they go year 1, year 2, 3, so on and so forth. You're moving like you're in reception when you should be year 6, right? You're in the wrong
Absolutely.
class.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
regardless, if you ask the question, it doesn't go the way that you like, it's giving you new information that this is maybe not the place for me because they can't contain, much less accommodate my ambition, right? And I think that's a big thing as well, is just being able to identify it in organizations as well as people. But yeah, those are the 2 things. Rules. Rules.
I love the way you put that. And I love that you said some people were given the wrong set of rules.
Mm.
Like that for me right there, it has to be like a quote. Some of us were given the wrong set of rules. Like that resonated with me so much. I come from what I would class as a typical or a stereotypical Caribbean upbringing.
Mm.
Girls are seen and not heard. We
Mm.
cook, we clean. I heard a lot of the time, like, if you can't cook and clean, you won't get a husband. I didn't hear, yeah. And I feel like a lot of my Caribbean friends, they did hear that as girls. Like you were saying, you feel like your dad
100%.
raised you almost as boys.
Boy.
So you had a different experience maybe to a lot of Caribbean women and a lot of women in general listening to it. Like I was told, listen, if you can't cook and clean, your husband will leave you.
Mm.
I wasn't told you can ask for as much money as you want. And if someone says no, you can go ask someone else. I also wasn't taught that if you don't, I was taught that if you have to follow the rules, like old school Caribbean mum, you know what I mean? Like your boss is always right. You follow the man. Like even when your boss is
Obedient.
horrible, right? I
Mm.
was taught obedience from the ground up. I was also raised with a family who were in the church. But again, I was taught a different way from you. I was taught obedience. Obedience in society, obedience in the classroom, but follow the rules.
Yeah.
Go school. You go nursery, you go school, you go to high school, you go to college, you go to uni, you get your degree. And the problem was after college, I didn't want to go to uni. And that was a problem. And that was the first time I feel like I did what wasn't following the rules.
Yeah.
And when I didn't follow the rules and the world didn't end,
Mm.
is when I realized, and that was just my first, that was me just testing the boundaries, if I'm honest. But when I realized the world didn't end, what I then realized was I then had a point to prove. I wanted to prove that even though I didn't follow the rules, I was going to be more successful than everyone else who did. And I have a little bit of that in me. And I think that helps me. But I think just hearing your story, the fact that you were able to show up and you were already ready to show up in the world as someone who wanted to
Mm,
ask for what she wanted, someone who wanted to go after those dreams. Whereas I feel like a lot of ambitious women, they don't have that side. They have the ambition, they want it, but they don't step out in it. And I love the way, just the way you put it resonated with me personally. Because so I know it's resonating with someone listening. Because for me personally, that resonated in the sense I was given the wrong set of rules.
mm,
And until I decided to break that rule, and anyone listening, understand that the rules are just guidelines. One of my best friends told me that years ago. She said to me, rules are just guidelines, Adele. Why are you always following them to like the letter? And I
mm.
think a lot of ambitious women, it is where they get stuck. So thank you for saying that, because a lot of people listening right now, you blew their mind because they're like, oh, I just had the wrong set of rules.
Rules. And again, this is no shade to our families. They did the best with what they knew. And in many senses, and this is why I say the biggest self-coaching question you can ask yourself when you're dilly-dallying on whether to follow a rule or chart your own path is, how is this serving me? Like,
Mhm.
how would it serve me to chart my own path, and how would it serve me to stick with these rules? Because ultimately our parents and grandparents generations would ask that question and go, well, it serves me to keep me safe, it serves me to keep me in the job, it serves me to do
Right.
that, right? Whereas if you copy and paste it into most of our situations today, those reasons aren't quite there. Also, we're having this conversation at a time where job for life is even less and less of a thing,
Mhm.
right? So we know that nothing is guaranteed. So there's less for us to lose, quote unquote, right? But again, if we pull it through that filter, then we're able to kind of go, does this guideline,
Mhm.
as a friend said, does it serve me to wait till my appraisal to let my manager know that I want more money?
Mhm.
Or does it serve me to bring it up in my next one-to-one so that they know ahead of the appraisal that they need to, I'm coming for
I'm
coming
coming
for
from
more
all the
money.
coins. Absolutely. You have to assess the rules. And I do think you have to assess the rules and you have to understand how they serve you. And I totally agree. And for me personally, I definitely feel like in my career, I don't follow the rules, but in a lot of other areas of my life, fully follow the rules. And I want people who are listening to understand that you can break the chains in one area, but still struggle to break them in another area. But slowly, if anything you do one way, you can do it other ways. So
Mm.
just understand that it's a process of I still have that built in me. So understanding that is really important. So what would you say then, Jazz, in your opinion, makes women settle in their careers? And have you ever felt like you were settling or have you ever settled?
Yeah. Ooh, settling. Oh, settling. There are people that I know that settle for the big, and this is the big one that gets me.
Mhm.
You settle because you feel like you should be grateful for what you have, right? I've worked with clients and we've gotten on that first discovery call, and they've said to me, I earn good money. They respect me at the company. I enjoy what I'm doing. I should be grateful because on paper it's a good job. And I've known that I've wanted to leave for about 3 years. But
Mhm.
again, it's a good job. I should be happy, right? And it's one of the biggest ways that we stifle our ambition is by making our ambition a signal of our ungratitude. So I don't even know ungratitude is a word, but our lack of gratitude. I should be grateful. And me wanting more is me automatically being ungrateful. And it's a big myth because, in many senses, the reality is you're still going to be grateful for the next thing. You're not throwing the past, for some people, it's 10 years, 12 years, same company, maybe slightly different roles, different opportunities, right? You're not throwing that in the bin. You're honoring the evolution that is in front of you. You're honoring your ambition to step into the next thing, right? And I think there's a space where, again, for a lot of people, when we unpack that in the actual coaching, that is a generational voice in their head. Like if I was to tell my grandma I want more money, she'd be like, what? On what you? Do you know what I mean? Or if I was to say to my mum, I'm leaving without a job because I just want to take a sabbatical. I want to take a year off and do. It's like, you want to do what? Are you
Mhm.
sure? But you've got a good job. So I probably say that that is the biggest one. I have settled in my career at points, but a lot of it has been because life has been bigger. If you
Mm.
think about your, I guess, your career and your life as like a box. I don't like this. I don't like boxing anything in. But you think about it as a box, right? And you've got marbles and you've got different color marbles. When life is life in, the hot pink marbles are taking up so much space that the job just needs to sit in its corner and be the blue marbles. And again, saying this as somebody who also has a business, there are spaces and seasons in life where the green marbles, i.e., my business, fill up more of that box. And those are the times where, no, I'm not going to. Let me use an example. I'm not going to be interviewing aggressively for a new role during International Women's Day.
Mhm.
That is a lot for me to hold. So even if I want to look for another job, we're going to do it after. And again,
Yeah.
you will know I believe in the 90 days. So once April hits, we're on and popping for that. But it's really being honest about the capacity that we have and being conscious, right? If you're settling consciously in a way that serves you, excellent. You're moving house, you're pregnant, you're trying for family. Da, 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 da. If it serves you to stay where you are and it doesn't harm you, it's when the settling is harming you. You are bored out of your mind. You are understimulated. You can feel your skills just wasting away, right? Or you're being undervalued in terms of what they're remunerating you from what they get from you. Da, 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 da. Those things I would class as harming you. They're harming your growth. They're harming your development. They're harming your sense of value for you to continue to stay there, although you quote unquote should be happy with what you've got. So I don't put settled in like the naughty counter, but I put it there if we're doing it unconsciously, we're
Mm.
doing it through lack of courage, we're doing it through shame, because that's ultimately what's at the end of those voices or those generational voices in our heads. But I think it makes us settle because we've got those generational voices, or because we think we should be grateful. We think that what our current companies have done for us, nobody else will do. Nobody else will give me the half day on Friday. Nobody else will understand when my kids are sick. Nah, we're in a new world. Those can be your minimum requirements for whatever you go on to next. So don't be tricked, because sometimes companies will actively trick you. Like actively,
Mm.
I've been in roles where I've moved on and they've gone, you're not going to get better training elsewhere. And I'm like, well, I'm willing to take that risk because what you're giving me at the moment is not what you promised, right? But yeah, I'm not. I tend to move on real quick. I can't lie to you. My CV will attest to it. You have I got a 3 strike rule. I'm gonna let you know I'm coming for the thing. I'm gonna make the official request. I'm gonna give you one more chance to do, if I make the request and you go, oh, we need X time, right? I'm gonna give you time to lay out a plan in the future. But again, when we get to that third point and we've hit that future point that you agreed that we'll be able to change it by then and you haven't, I'm out. That three
Listen.
step process can happen within a month. It can happen within a quarter. Again, I love a good 90-day period.
Yeah.
Again, when it comes to not settling, that's the game plan where it's at. And that's the game plan that I've seen lived out in my clients' lives as well. So even if you feel like you've settled for ages, making a move, there's no, what they call it, the sunk cost fallacy. Like just because you've settled for so long, oh, I've been there for 12 years, been there for 15 years. Oh, if I move now, or if I move really quickly, or if keep it moving.
You're a woman after my own heart, Jazz, because I'm a runner. I'm a runner. Know it. And I will be out the door extremely quickly. I think jobs, careers are just like relationships. Just because it looks good on paper, that don't mean it means. I've had jobs that looked perfect on paper. They were
Mm,
kicking my ass, and I've never been as ill or as like mentally drained as
yeah.
in any other role. Something can look good on paper, just like a romantic relationship. And
Mhm.
you're so worried that if you leave it, I might not get better. What if you get 10 times better? And what if you were just willing to take the risk? So I understand the whole running. I've done it in
Mhm.
relationships and I've translated that into jobs. If I'm not getting what I want, and I think the key that Jazz shared there, if you are unhappy,
Mm,
move. That is not ungrateful. You can be grateful for everything in front of you and still want and go after a lot more. You will be grateful in every walk of life. Your gratitude is when you showed up to work every day and did a good job. That is how you show your gratitude to any company. But it doesn't mean that now you're tied to that company for the rest of your life. And I
mm,
think that that message that you shared, just super, super important. And anyone listening, I hope you got that part. If you didn't, just rewind a little bit because Jazz dropped some gems. Guys, we don't have to settle. I've definitely settled in my career, but I've also done what Jazz said. Like, it feels like settling to me, but to other people, they're like, Adele, you're just up and out when you're ready. I still feel like it's settling because I've given people chances and you
Yeah,
didn't,
I'm just
maybe the
like, I
company
should
didn't
have left a
deserve it.
quarter ago. I
Yeah.
could have been,
Should have left
because
last month.
also we love to talk about money here, okay?
Yes. Yes.
The month extra that I'm here, because I'm talking to, there are those of you who have handed your notice and somebody replied back and said, could you give us more time? And you're dilly-dallying. And I want to you, because serve that notice and keep it moving, because every month that you're on that old money, that old environment, that old leadership structure, that old lack of opportunity, you're not in the new. So whether you want to crunch it in your spreadsheet, what does it cost for me to give them 2 months notice, 3 months notice? For some of you are sitting on 6 months notice periods, 3 months notice periods. Listen, give them what is legally required and not a minute more. Keep it moving. You leaving in 30 days does not negate all the work that you've done prior to that point. And if they really think it does, then that's an issue with them. But please, even when you're on your way out the door, don't have nobody sweet talking you back into the toxic relationship. Please look ahead. In fact, leave early. So I looked on the system, I've got annual leave days to take. So I've been at jobs where they're like, so I serve my notice, which means that my last day is Friday. And I'm towards you on a Tuesday. Okay. The cookie crumbles the way the cookie crumbles. You have to serve yourself in those moments. And again, as long as, we're communicating professionally, we're doing the legals, keep it moving. Do not delay stepping into your new and stepping into your desires and stepping into your ambition because of another should.
Love that. So with that being said, what's one thing you wish someone would have told you at the start of your career?
I actually think it's what you said about being like relationships. There was this space where, so I've been working since I was 15. Job and career, two different things. The career, I feel like that really kicked off uni, right? And I was lucky to get on a graduate scheme as soon as I came out. But there was this space where you'd put that grad scheme, you'd put whatever your post-grad role was, you'd put that on a pedestal so high that no matter what it is, there's this stigma if I leave the scheme early. I left the scheme early. Scheme was for 2 years. I left after months. I was burnt out, broken. I'd done my research. I looked up and I said, what does she earn? Wait, she has a child. I don't even know. What? This is where you live, but you live here. You stay at the hotel with me. Nah. I did all my research to figure out that actually, even if I'd quote unquote stuck it out, where I ended up wouldn't have been what I wanted, right? So 8 months in, and I handled that stigma. I went to my little reunion with my graduate class and they were like, how's everyone doing? I'm here, I'm there. And I'm just like, I'm looking for something new. At the moment, I'm about to be a property administrator because I've got skills for it, right? And they were like confused, very polite, but very confused. Best decision ever. I've never regretted moving on from a role, right? So much so that actually there's companies that I've returned to, but in different roles. Because the way that I do it is, and again, and this is what I wish, this is what I grew into because it felt less taxing to me, right? I give it, again, the backdrop, somebody with anxiety, depression, and what I now know all along has actually been ADHD. So there's certain things that will wear on me emotionally. It wears on me emotionally to spin one tale on why I'm leaving, or make you think that it was some other reason. Anytime I've left a job, my manager has known why I'm leaving. Categorically. Categorically. You promised me training, it didn't arrive. My pay is not commensurate with my experience. Heck, you're paying me less than my male counterpart. Explicit on the exit interview and before the exit interview. So it's meant that I've always left any role with a sense of peace, but also not been afraid in the interview process when they go, why are you looking for something new, to say, look, the training that I was promised isn't forthcoming. I'm at the stage in my career right now where growth and learning and development is a priority for me. So that's what I'm looking for in any new organization that I join, right? Exactly like that, folks. So if you want to copy and paste, transcribe that phrase with your chest. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that organizations aren't forever. Check in regularly on whether it is serving you and make your moves accordingly. There is no such thing as like a career hopper blacklist. And if you come up against something like that, because I've sat in interviews where somebody's going, how do I know that you'll stay? And for me, I'm like, I'm not the person for you, because if I was, you'd be looking at it like she's been very clear on why she's left other roles. So if we just deliver on what we promise, we keep her happy, no? But you've made it my problem that I've moved on when things no longer serve me. So then I shouldn't be working for you. So it's all information, folks. But yeah, don't get stuck. Keep it moving. That's the biggest thing that I wish I knew at the beginning. So it didn't feel so rebellious when I did it.
Mm. Mhm. It felt like the norm and it's okay to do. Guys, also just a minute ago, Jazz just let you know what you should be doing in interviews, because a lot of you are going in them interviews saying like, oh, I wish they give me the job and da 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 da. But you're not realizing the red flags. Jazz just literally dropped you a gem and showed you how to see the red flags. Tell them what you want. If they make it an issue that what you want is a problem, if they make your boundaries, just like we say in relationships, if your boundaries are an issue, that's not the relationship for you. If your boundaries are an issue, that's not the company for you. I do not care how good it looks on paper. And Jazz just told you. So anyone who missed that, I want you to re-listen, because Jazz literally just told you how to spot a red flag in a company. So yeah, let's go. Uh, Jazz, last question that I want to ask you before I let you go is, can you share 3 steps someone can start to take towards their biggest goals over the next 90 days? As you're the woman of goal getting, I want you to let us know 3 steps someone can start to take towards their biggest goals over the next 90 days.
Okay, so the three things. Oh, I've got more than three, but I'm making it to six, folks. You can find it over on my website. So I've got an entire goal getting game plan toolkit that I'm sharing. So at the website, justjazz.co/game plan, you can get it. But the biggest thing that you'll notice when you look at this game plan and this approach to goal setting is that we're going to anchor it in who you are. Too often, people want to copy and paste goals from wherever we see them. So I want a business. Okay, why? Anchor it in who you are. So I've got like a declaration. So when you declare your goal for the next 90 days, you start off with I believe. And then you go into I am, which is what you know to be true about yourself. And then we get to the goal. So I will do X, Y, and Z. But I believe is so, so important, because especially when you're in that space of wobble, let's talk to the person who maybe wants to look for a new job. I believe that my skills are better used elsewhere. You can get as specific as that. That's a belief that we can anchor into. I believe that we all deserve fulfilling careers. I believe that I was put on this earth to help people, right? I know people who would say that with their full chest and be able to say their life is a testament to that. I am. I am compassionate. I'm innovative. I'm creative. So I will find a new job that accommodates my beliefs, my values, and values what I bring to the table, right? So that's a structure for a goal. And that's like a goal of finding a new role that aligns with who you are. Because ultimately, when things go wrong with your goal, they go off track. It's you anchoring in who you know yourself to be and what you believe about the world, what you believe about you, what you believe about your industry that will propel you forward. So that's the first thing, anchor it in who you are. The second thing is to plan to go off course. The same goals that I help people get in 90 days, I've been able to get them in 30 days, in 60 days. The reason why I say 90 is because we need to give ourselves space for our humanity. For that week when you're ill, for that week when your family just needed you. So you're not firing out the applications the way that you should, or you haven't gotten around to updating your internal profile or whatever it may be. So I call it your resilient response. How will you proactively recover from the setbacks that will come along? Because what happens is we're laser focused, we're laser focused, we're laser focused. Then we've got one off day and we make it mean that all of it was nonsense. We make it mean that we can't get back on track. We make it mean that maybe we were too ambitious and we should have pulled it back. Nah, let's accept setbacks as part of the journey and plan for it. So, what is it that helps you get on track? For some of us, it's spending time with somebody who holds the mirror, right? So, spending time with a sibling, a loved one who goes, look, I believe in you. Like everything that you set out to do, you're able to do. Like, remember when you did this, remember you did that. For some of us, it's having a full duvet day. The key to your resilience is for you to just switch off from everything and then come back strong the next morning. We're not making any of these wrong. For some of you, it's if I go to the gym, that gives me the nice reset. For some of you, it's going to church or a place of religion, a place of faith. Whatever it is, have that in your back pocket. So when things start to go off, you're just like, here's my resilient response for this setback, for this disappointment. I didn't get that role. Okay, that doesn't mean that I'm going to wallow. That means I'm going to intentionally kick in my resilient response, which is to up on my self-care or spend time with somebody who loves me or reaffirms me, right? Those things are really important. And I would say the third thing that you want to do, plan a celebration. all you ambitious people, you just go and go and go and go. And I know Adele will relate to this because Adele lives life, okay? She lives life. I swear that I haven't even confirmed this with you, but I guarantee you probably get something new. And you're just like, I'm going to celebrate when the opportunity is on my lap, when I've secured the opportunity. I'm going to celebrate our first day of executing on that project. Yeah. Celebrate
Absolutely.
yourselves, because again, this is us rewiring our neurons to the fact that this is something to be celebrated. We are enough to be celebrated. You get to define the points of celebration, right? If it is just you keeping consistent with a practice, it doesn't even need to be you achieving the goal. Weave in that celebration so that it doesn't feel like goal getting is a punishment, but also so you don't fall foul of achieving the goal and just cracking on to the next, because then your expectations start to get out of whack. Then we start to get into more unhelpful behaviors of not truly seeing what you've achieved, not taking stock of the new skills you've built, the new competencies, not even taking ownership of you. There are people who will smash all their goals, and with each level of that goal, imposter syndrome's getting louder and louder and louder and louder, because you're not taking a moment to full body acknowledge this was me. Right? For me, I like to sit down with a nice cheeky lychee based cocktail and go, with every sip, it was me. I got that opportunity. I secured it, delivered it. Right? Have that moment for yourself, because if you miss that out, they will all feel the same. They will all feel on to the next, and you will lose track of the fact that you created that result and not anyone else and anything else.
Oh, love those. Thank you so much, Jazz. Like, they were such amazing tips. And yes, definitely I'm out here living life because I work too damn hard not to do anything else. I am celebrating at I am celebrating being alive. Guys, understand, I'm celebrating my new job after getting made redundant. I'm celebrating
Mm,
at all times. And then I'm trusting God to do the rest, to
mm,
help me work and help me move and let me be able to celebrate. So yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Jazz, tell the listeners
mm.
how they can connect with you, where they can find you, where they can talk to you, how they can work with you. Let them know.
Yeah. All things are on the website at justjazz.co. So that's where you'll find everything about how I work with people. 90 Day Next is the 3-month program. I work with people in a group. There's also a one-to-one option. So if your goal is a little bit more urgent / you value having that private space, right? Because ultimately, for us to really be doing that career surgery, I need the nuts and bolts. I need the moving pieces of absolutely everything. So for you to have that private space one-to-one, that's there. And then I do workshops with people, and that's on the website. And then to catch me social wise, LinkedIn is the best place to find me. That's where you'll be able to catch up on events, things like the game plan tool. I share that all over on there. And then if you do catch me on Instagram on justjazz.co, I'm doing a little thing this year where I'm just living my personal life over there. So, the
Cool.
link in bio will still take you out to the biz stuff, but that's where you go if you want to see my lychee based cocktail when I'm celebrating something in my own life, my own career, or just see me
Love it.
with pumpkin soup. Do you know what I mean? I'm living life over there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, run to Jazz's website. Run, 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 run. I love talking to Jazz. Anytime I speak to Jazz, I feel like she drops gems for me as a business owner, someone who's also an employee in my career. And I know you've helped so many of the listeners. So thank you so much for joining me. All you ambitious women out there, ambitious people, anyone who's trying to achieve a goal, remember 90 days. It is not that long, and you are more than capable and more than able. You do not have to settle.
Mm-mm.
Run. Run towards what you want and run away from what you don't want. And that's where we're going to leave it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, Jazz. And I'm sure we'll do it again.
Definitely.
I hope this episode gave you exactly what you needed and motivated you to confidently take steps towards your next career move. If you enjoyed it, screenshot and share it on your socials, tag me on Instagram, and come join my community of amazing women working on leveling up their confidence and career. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.